You're listening to Writers Talk, the online radio show for authors and book lovers everywhere. Brought to you by Mithra Publishing, the third option.
Writers Talk, brought to you by Mithra Publishing, the third option.
Welcome to another episode of Writers Talk, brought to you by Mithra Publishing. I'm Kizzy Nkwacha, and today I'm joined by Gregory Gower, who's one of the contributing authors to a book we produced recently called Undiscovered Gems, an anthology of fiction talent. Now, this is a book that showcases new authors and people that we feel confident will become the future writing stars of the year 2012, 13 and beyond, and Gregory Gower is one of them. Gregory, thank you for joining us in the studio today.
Oh, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure.
Now, in the introduction, I mentioned briefly that you were one of the contributing authors to our recent anthology of fiction talent called Undiscovered Gems, but you're also the author of a book called A Touch of Heaven. I'm having a look at, I've got it here in my hands as I'm talking to you, A Touch of Heaven. Tell us what inspired you to write the book?
There were just a collection of stories that I wrote on the computer different times, and I never thought anything of it. It was for my own amusement. I just enjoyed writing them, and just one of those things that they were jottings, just jottings.
And they were written presumably over a period of years rather than months.
Yes, they were written over sort of a period of probably 20 years. I just like writing them and trying to, think of how I could make it a bit more exciting towards the end. Sort of trying to turn around what people were reading and then come to a spot in the story where they say, oh, I didn't know that was going to happen. And that was the whole thing.
Well, I'm one of the people that read A Touch of Heaven, and I found it absolutely charming, amazing stories. And I've got to tell you, when I was reading it, I kept asking myself, how did this guy know that he could write this stuff? When did you first realise that you had a passion for writing?
Well, I suppose it was at a difficult time in my life when I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. And that was in 1962. I spent an awful long time in hospital at Brook Hospital in Woolwich. And I was paralysed from the waist down and both my shoulders to the hands and fingers. And to help me, I wrote and wrote and wrote, because the therapy of moving my fingers, holding a pen to a paper and wrote, and the shorthand books that you can get. Oh, well, I must have filled in about 30 of those, so I just transcribed from notebook to the computer, and they were staying on there for over a period of 20 years. Of course, that wasn't the only thing that helped me with my therapy. I had to have a lot of physiotherapy, which got me back on my feet, and also, to a certain limit, gave me back my arms and my hands. But unfortunately, it hasn't gone away. I've still got MS. There's no miracle cure for it. Anyway, we're going off the subject of writing, really, aren't we?
No, I'm fascinated because I'm just trying to imagine you, trying to write with all these problems and conditions of movement, but you still find writing to be therapeutic.
Oh yes. I'm writing every day. As you know, I'm writing my second book because although The Touch of Heaven is out and it's different to what I've started to write now. I've started to write fictional murders, obviously. I mean, I don't know any factual murders, and I wouldn't want to write about them. But my next book is a trilogy of murder. I've almost completed my first book of the trilogy, which is Driven to Murder. The second book is called A Sequel to Murder, and the last book, or the last chapter, will be called Stranglehold.
Your lovely wife, it's Brenda, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Has she encouraged you to write? Has she helped at all?
Well, she leaves me to my own devices. I mean, she's my proofreader, so she must be interested in what I write. So, yeah, she encourages me to write, you know.
What sort of books do you read and who influences you? First of all, what are you reading at the moment?
Well, I read a lot of MC Beaton books. She does a series on a heroine called Agatha Raisin. Have you ever heard of her?
I haven't, no. Is she recommended?
I recommend her stories, yes. She's come out, well, they're all murders, obviously. The Keisha death and all sorts of... Hold on a moment.
Hold on a moment. He's just walked off. Oh, I don't know. What a carry-on. Wasn't like this at the BBC, I tell you. Oh, he's back. Hold on, here he is. He's back again.
Yeah, you sit there.
I'll just sit here. You take your time. I'm going to be... He's got me on hold.
Not going to be long. It's not a very big room.
No. Just that's fine. I'm just going to sit here and just read the paper now. You know.
Agatha Raisin is about I should say about 15 books on Agatha Raisin. They're all sorts. The good thing about these books is that you've got what you can term as an outline story. You've got the actual story of, you know, if I take, for instance, 3 books in a row, Agatha Raisin and the Fairies of Fryfam, Agatha Raisin and Love from Hell, and Agatha Raisin and The Day the Floods Came. Now, those 3 books, the front, what do you call the front, when they do a forerunner?
Oh, the preface, the prologue.
Yeah. The prologue, that's right. The prologue and the epilogue are another story continuing with an outlaying romance interest that she's got with a certain person who's in the story, but also part of this other story that's not associated with the actual murders.
Oh, I see. So all the stories are linked, you know, by different stories.
The stories are linked by this other story on the outside of the main story, which is, I thought, a very clever concept.
Sounds absolutely fascinating.
It is. You're really it's a kind of book you can't put down once you start.
Do you have times when you just absolutely can't write, when you think I should be writing, but I just can't force myself? What do you do when you come across when you have those moments?
Well, there are moments. What do I do? Well, I try and occupy myself with something a bit more strenuous. Although that's very difficult these days, but I try probably do a bit of gardening. My wife bought me a Wii, and of course I'm always playing tennis.
Are you any good?
Oh yeah, I usually beat the computer quite a few times actually.
Wow. Okay, I'm in awe of you.
Not really. But I suppose really what it does is it pushes my frustrations out of me, because what maybe you take for granted is difficult for me to do, like turning on a light switch, taking, you know, the Actimel.
Yeah.
Well, we take that every morning. It's an effort for me to try and take the silver top off of it. It will probably take me a few more seconds than it would you, because things like that are very difficult to do. And I dropped quite a few things. Although throughout our marriage, I think I've only broken one glass, which is a record. Whereas my wife, who's ably bodied, she's dropped quite a few things in our marriage. But
Well, does she throw them at you, or is she just literally
it
just
could be
drops?
that. Could be that. So Amy's pretty rotten anyway.
Ah, well, you see, that's because you're wiry. You see, you keep moving around too much.
Yeah, they keep on missing my head. They drop straight down on the floor.
Well, thank God for that. For people listening to this, obviously, you've gone through the whole writing process from inception to actually producing something and getting it published, and that's something that's quite rare these days. And I'm just wondering, if somebody was to ask you, what tips would you give to somebody who's looking to become an author for the first time?
Well, I think really another thing that motivated me is that I got some books. I bought some books from a well-known store in Eastbourne, and they was how to write was one of them, and the content was they gave you tests, so you were. On one of them, it said to write no more than 500 words an interview. And I thought to myself, well, all right, I'll do this test and I'll write an interview. So I wrote a story. It's got a twist in the end as well. I would suggest to them to get a book or a program that will give you a head start on how to write a book. Can you just hold on a moment?
Yeah, of course. We going to the loo?
No, nothing like that.
He's left the room now, so I'm now sitting in the studio by myself, filling in what we call dead air in this business. But you know what? It's not dead air, because this is going to be a bit of a time for a commercial break. He's got me on hold. I can't believe it. Oh well.
I love listening to Writers Talk on Mithra Radio.
Hi, I'm Laura C. George, the business coach for creatives, and today I'd like to talk to you about a new book that's out called Facebook for Business. In my chapter, The Relationship Builder in Facebook for Business, I answer all of your burning questions about how to use Facebook for Business, including things like how do you approach Facebook for Business, how do you get good attention instead of the bad attention on Facebook. I teach you how to stop wasting your time commenting all over your Facebook. I tell you why you shouldn't be looking for new followers on Facebook. Yeah, that's a big one. Sound crazy? You've got to read this chapter. I also tell you how the 80-20 rule applies to your posts and what exactly do you post. And then here's the kicker, my favorite part of the entire chapter. I teach you where to draw the line on how personal is too personal for Facebook. And I know that's a difficult one, and I'm going to teach you where you're supposed to draw it and how you're going to figure out what fits for you, and you're going to draw that line of how personal you're going to get on Facebook. So if you're interested, I would love it if you checked out Facebook for Business, the new book that's out. Again, I am Laura C. George, the business coach for creatives, and I hope you'll check out Facebook for Business.
And the scribes were writing onto the papyrus, and they were writing onto the scrolls thereof, and making documentation that could be read by the masses. Yeah. Oh, howdy friends, Preacher here. Hey, I was just reading about publishing in the olden times. Well friends, traditional publishing today is really on its last leg. We all know this. It's almost impossible to get a regular publishing house to take on a contract for a new writer because it's so expensive and they're taking a heck of a risk. You could go the way of vanity printing, and if you were to do that, that is really expensive, and most people can't do that. But there is a solution. The third option is Mithra Publishing. Now, these guys can publish your book for you, and they take the mystery, if you will, out of the publishing process. Oh, it is a wonderful idea. It allows the collaboration of books in which there are a variety of authors, and each author is responsible for only one chapter. They spread the expenses out that way, and it makes it easy for you to become a published author. Think about it today, friends. Go to mithrapublishing.com and they'll show you how it's done. Friends, we want you to be a published author. It's not that hard, and we know that you will be very blessed when you do. We love you so much, friends, and care about you. Amen.
I love listening to Writers Talk on Mithra Radio.
On here. No, it's well, I was wherever you asked me the question, I wanted to answer it truthfully and about motivating other people. It says start writing your novel, and it's a company. Well, I think they just call themselves New Novelist. It's a.
Is it a book?
Well, no, it's a program.
Ah, a program, piece of software you can use.
Yeah, a bit of software. And it's quite comprehensive, and it was sanctioned by the Sunday Times, so they thought it was good, and it's called Your Novel.
Okay.
And it's for PC, and it's by CS Creativity in Software.
Creativity in software, right, got it. Okay. Has it helped you in your writing?
No, it didn't actually.
Oh, that's fine, okay.
Because it.
What do you mean it didn't? What's the point of, you recommended it, but it hasn't helped you?
No, well, I did look at the program, but when you think about it, I got the program
Right,
after I'd already started to write.
right, okay.
But I'm just saying that if anybody, if a person is just starting out now,
Yeah.
it would be an idea to get this program and look at the contents, because I feel that it will help them.
We can't ask for anything more